Hello, I'm Shay Wesley, and today we're discussing breaking free from old patterns. So if this resonates with you, sit back and enjoy. There comes a moment in every person's life when the familiar becomes too heavy to carry. A moment when the patterns we've repeated for years begin to feel like cages instead of comforts. And when we talk about breaking free from old patterns, we are not simply referring to habits we dislike or memories that we wish would fade. We are speaking about deeply embedded neurological pathways, emotional imprints, subconscious agreements, and survival codes that were created during times when we didn't have the awareness, the capacity, or even the safety to choose differently. And these patterns do not persist because they are weak. They persist because they once kept us alive, connected, or functioning in a world that felt unpredictable or unsafe. But there comes a moment in every person's life, sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically, when the inner self begins to whisper that the strategies we once used for survival are no longer compatible with a version of us that is emerging. And it is in that moment, that subtle internal shift, where true transformation begins. It begins the moment you realize that your past may have shaped you, but it does not own you. And we know that old patterns often return because the nervous system is loyal to what is familiar, even when that familiarity is painful. So your brain will choose a predictable discomfort over an unfamiliar possibility if it hasn't been shown how to regulate through change. This is why healing cannot be forced. It's why it must be guided. And regulation must come before creation. Safety must come before expansion. Because without emotional safety, the mind clings to the known. With safety, it opens to the new. And in the New America Healthcare Protocols, we approach old patterns not as enemies, but as outdated architecture. Structures that were built for a younger version of you, a version who did not always have the tools, the boundaries, the wisdom, or even the internal stability you now possess. And the work is not to destroy these structures, but to outgrow them so completely that they no longer feel like home. We create a new internal landscape where peace replaces urgency, where clarity replaces confusion, and self-trust replaces fear. Breaking free of these patterns does not happen overnight or even in a single moment. It happens in thousands of micro moments where you choose differently, where you breathe differently, where you interpret differently, and where you respond differently, until one day you realize you are no longer fighting your past because you are no longer living from it. You've shifted from being shaped by what happened to you into being shaped by what is possible for you. And the New America Healthcare Protocols gives your mind the neurological scaffolding that it needs to level up into its next identity. Because identity is not just a concept, it is a frequency, a rhythm of thought, a pattern of emotion, a choreography of beliefs. And when your beliefs shift, your biology shifts as well. And when your biology shifts, your choices shift. And when those choices shift, your life rearranges itself around your new internal truth. You are not stuck because you are incapable. You are stuck possibly because your central nervous system has been waiting for someone to show it how to move differently. And now, someone finally is. So as you walk through this day's work, I want you to allow yourself to imagine what your life could become if your mind stopped looping the past and began creating the future. I want you to imagine what would happen if the beliefs that have once held you captive, that I'm not ready, or I'm not enough, or I always mess it up, that's just who I am. No more. All of those begin to dissolve because they no longer match the frequency of the person you are in this moment. And you are allowed to rewrite yourself. You are allowed to re-choose, and you are allowed to shed every narrative that no longer honors your evolution. So when you're ready to experience this shift directly, not just as an idea you hope for, or even a concept you intellectually understand, but as a physiological recalibration that you can feel moving through your breath, your chest, your thoughts, and even your choices. I want you to join me for tonight's virtual session on the New America Healthcare Protocols YouTube channel, where the work that you and I do together is designed to gently dismantle the old survival patterns that have been shaping your life without your permission. These patterns, they dissolve through regulation, through the nervous system finally receiving the signal that it is safe enough to release what it has been gripping for years. And once your body stops gripping, your mind stops looping. And once that mind stops looping, your entire identity begins to shift at a cellular level. Tonight's session is where we invite the body to stop rehearsing the past and begin rehearsing the future that you were always meant to inhabit. A future where the internal wars have settled, where the emotional noise quiets, and where the subconscious stops dragging you backward and finally starts guiding you forward. This is where your inner world begins to reorient itself, where your nervous system updates its internal map, and where the patterns that once felt permanent begin to loosen their intensity, their authority, and even their grip on your daily experience. And as this recalibration unfolds, something extraordinary happens. You begin building a new identity moment by moment, breath by breath, one that is not shaped by fear or habit or even inherited programming, but rather it is shaped by clarity, regulation, and truth. In my field of work, we do not force change. We allow it. We receive it. Tonight, we are creating the internal conditions where transformation becomes the natural response. And as your nervous system stabilizes, your mind expands. When your mind expands, your choices elevate. And this is the work. This is the awakening. And this is your new beginning. Not as a performance or a temporary high, but as a lived, embodied shift that continues long after this session ends. So when you're ready, truly ready, meet me inside the virtual session tonight. Settle in, lay back, allow your body to soften, and allow your subconscious mind to listen to my voice, and allow your future self to take its rightful place. I'm your guide, Shay Wesley. This is New America Healthcare Protocols, and this is where your next chapter starts.